Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari ST A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari ST games, some of which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today is one of the former. This is Chase, released by Mastertronic, which was a bit of a one-man show, this game, I think, by T. Barker. I'm not sure what else he worked on, but as you see, this is a fairly simple game, but it's a fun one. This game was noteworthy to me for having one of the most unnecessarily complex and overblown storylines I've ever seen in a manual for a 16-bit game. Now, this wasn't unusual at all, because a lot of games from the era came with like a novella or something that was more often than not used for copy protection rather than anything else. But this was like a budget release that came in like a sort of CD-style dual case. Mastertronic at the time was very much known for these sort of low-priced budget releases. And so just to see the amount of effort they put into the utterly ridiculous and stupid story for this game, which was all to do with people competing for a princess's hand in marriage or something along those lines, when in fact it was just a game that was kind of attempting to ride the coattails of the classic Star Wars arcade game with its transparent vector graphics and such like. So there's 4 phases to this game, as you can see. The first one, you're flying through that asteroid belt. You have to avoid the asteroids and shoot the blue spaceships. The second one that we've just been through, you have to pass between the towers. The third one, you have to fly through these squares. And the fourth one, I've forgotten. I think... Oh, well, I guess we'll find out now. Oh yes, that's right, it's a trench run ripoff, in which you have to dodge the orange things, shoot down the ships, and that's about it. So as you can see, this game is not terribly complicated in terms of execution. It is challenging though. So like right from the get-go, it is tricky to survive in. Not helped by the fact that the ST's mouse isn't the most responsive thing in the world. So yeah, you really have to give your wrist a pretty good workout with this one in order to actually be able to move around properly, or at least make sure your mouse is clean and you have a decent mouse mat anyway. As is so often the case though, simplistic games often tend to be addictive and enjoyable, and that's certainly the case here. This is a game that I've always really liked. I mean, it's not what I'd call good, but it is a game that I've always enjoyed returning to and playing for a bit at a time, just because it's something you can play for a few minutes, have a bit of fun with, enjoy yourself. And it's very much a product of the time as well. So it's got those transparent 3D polygon graphics that were fashionable at the time before filled polygons became all the rage. In fact, these, as I recall, when this came out, this was after sort of filled polygons had become a thing in a lot of other games. So this game made a deliberate attempt to evoke the feeling of the old Star Wars arcade game and Star Glider and that sort of thing. And it just goes round and round like this until you run out of shields in the corner. It's getting a bit faster and a bit more difficult each time. The asteroids in the first level have changed shape each time, as I recall. Other than that, that really is about it for this game. So I invite you to join me for the rest of my journey, which probably isn't going to last much longer at this rate. See, now we have pyramid asteroids. This stage is the one and only stage where you can actually adjust your speed as well. You do that by holding down the right mouse button and pushing forwards and backwards, which was quite a popular control scheme at the time for mouse-controlled games like this, but it was never very practical. Just because if you're moving the mouse to move. Also moving the mouse to set your speed is not the best way of doing things, but you know, it kind of does the job, I guess. It's a very quiet game, this, as well. Certain stages unfold in complete silence, like this one and the flying through the squares bit. And I think there's maybe sort of 3 separate sound effects in the whole game. You've got the laser, you've got the explosion sound, and you've got that sort of weird screeching sound that the enemy craft make when you blow them up. So in some ways this is a nice game to sort of relax with, put a bit of music on. Just enjoy flying through the coloured squares. Or dying. Also good. I suspect this is going to be the end of it. Let's see. Whoops. Whoops. Oh dear. Got away with that. The reason a game like this might want to go with the transparent vectors is quite simply because it runs a bit faster. And when filled polygons were sort of becoming a new thing, it was quite a struggle to get them running at a decent frame rate until we started to get some of the first 3D engines out there, like Freescape and such like. But that is a story for another day. That was Chase by T. Barker for Mastertronic. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.